everyone. I want to welcome you to the inaugural edition of the Alpha Shift podcast. The Alpha Shift itself is a movement that I started. My name is David Krueger. I'm a regular guy from the Midwest, from Detroit, Michigan, 46 years old. Divorced, a lot of broken relationships. Very interesting life, just like a lot of you guys. And this movement came about a couple of years ago. I was in a relationship. I thought this was the one. Man, this was the one that was going to be so much better than my ex-wife, and it was falling apart. It was falling apart hard. My life was falling apart hard. I wasn't really going anywhere, and I was very frustrated. And I knew that there was a lot more out there. There was something that I was missing, and so I kind of began this journey of, finding experts, finding information, finding what it is to really be a man, what is going on in society today. And the answers were so much bigger, actually, than the questions I'm asking. So many men today are wondering, why is my life not what I thought it would be? Why am I not what I thought I would be? And I'm here to say that there definitely is an answer. There is definitely a way out, and you can reclaim your life and your destiny. And so I'm going to take you on the journey that I'm on. And the Alpha Shift right now, it's a website, it's a blog, there's an online course, there's a newsletter. You can sign up for that in the show notes. That'll be there. I write for it every single day, and everything. I'm literally writing it. Every email that goes out, I wrote that. Joining me today is my brother from the same mother and same father. This is Brian Krueger.
Hi, everybody.
Brian's 43. Brian's got a life story very similar to me, and he is politically incorrect.
Yeah.
You're an animal. And so I brought you on here. Brian, he's got some visibility in the media. He and a friend have a very successful channel, YouTube channel. They talk about toys and collectibles. They've got a following. Brian can't really unleash in that arena. Some of those guys get a little sensitive, so I'm bringing him on the Alpha Shift so we can unleash the dragon a little bit and show what he's made of. And so we're going to talk about the issues that affect men and women, that affect marriages, that affect our lives, that we care most about. I'm going to let him rip. I might have to reel him in if he gets too crazy. But we're going to have a little bit of fun. Brian, go ahead and talk a little bit to the audience. Introduce yourself.
My name is Brian. I'm his brother from the same mother, as you said. I'm an average guy, just like my brother, I've had a few relationships. I'm in between right now. What you got me off guard?
That's okay.
I'm so not good at talking about myself.
You're in between. You don't want kids.
Okay.
You don't tell them you don't want kids.
Yeah, I don't want kids. I personally don't really want a relationship right now. I've had enough of them. And don't get me wrong, I love women. I think women are great, but I'm on vacation right now. I've had some really good relationships. I'd say most of my experiences with women have been positive. And I would like to be an example to men that you don't have to feel deficient being single.
Ooh, I like that.
Like you don't.
I like that.
Like I'm single and proud, and I'm not single because I'm fat, because I'm ugly, because I don't make money. I'm single because I'm on break right now. I for no other reason than I don't want to be in a relationship. That's it.
I like that a lot, Brian.
Yeah.
There's this guy I follow on Facebook, and his shtick is he calls it hard on break. Hard on break. And it's his whole thing, and he's black, and he writes for like black guys dealing with like specifically what some of they're going through. Like he talks a lot about baby mamas and women like manipulating you into getting pregnant. So that's kind of where he's coming from. Oof. Yeah, but he puts out some of the best wisdom I see anybody putting out, and it's really about men taking a step back from relationships, taking a step back from easy sexual availability, and finding their life purpose. And then when you bring a woman in, is it somebody who really aligns with your life purpose? And if not, you've got to be kind of ruthless and say no thank you.
Well, yeah, but you have to have that predefined. If you don't know who you are, you're definitely not going to figure that out in a relationship.
No,
because you're going to be bending to whatever it takes to be what she finds attractive.
Yes,
you get like I know with me in the past is you get a high from being what a woman wants you to be.
From the approval. Yes.
And it feels great. And there's nothing wrong with that. It should feel great. It feels awesome.
Yes.
But not at the cost of not finding out your own answers without that. You have to have things that are as, if not more important in your life.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm finding is that, that real approval and validation has to come from your own self.
Yes.
It has to come from your own life. And this is the journey I had to go in. So after my last relationship ended, and you know what? I mean, she's fine. I used to love to be critical of things she was going through in her life. And you know what? That's a bunch of bullshit. She's fine. I needed to find myself. And I'm glad that it was a gentle experience. I'm glad that she was like a gentle person. There's a lot of women who could have beat me up a lot harder.
Yeah, she's a good person.
Yeah, my ex-wife beat me up a hell of a lot harder than she did. And and I know a lot of women who so I got exactly what I needed to get to that place where I really needed to find my life mission. And there's a lot of guys listening to this who haven't done that yet. There's a lot of guys that are going to be listening to this who they're married, they have 3 kids, and the relationship is failing, and they need to find their life mission. That's a tough spot.
That's terrifying. I couldn't imagine being in a worse spot than having 3 children.
Yeah.
With a woman who you thought was someone that she's not.
Right.
Or you thought you were someone you weren't, and you realized, wow.
So it's not necessarily her fault. It's like you both kind of get in with the best of expectations. You kind of mold yourself to who you think the other person wants you to be so that they'll approve of you. Everybody's got the best of intentions, but you're doing everything wrong and you're not being true. And then, you end up 5 years into a marriage. She doesn't want to have sex with him. He won't talk to her. There's and nobody's getting the kids fed on time. And so, these things, this is what I'm seeing.
And I mean, this isn't...
these guys right into the alpha shift. I see some heartbreaking stories. This is why one of the reasons I wanted to start this podcast and have us just start having this conversation.
Yeah, and step 1 is knowing yourself.
Yes.
And owning it. And not, like, sometimes there are... And there's things about myself I know that I can't change.
Yeah.
Even if I want to. So for me to proceed under these pretenses that I'll correct this is never going to happen.
Right.
Like, as much as I want it to, people can be better.
Yeah.
People can do better, but there's certain things about myself that will never be corrected.
Right. Well, and do they need to be corrected?
No, I don't think so.
I'm getting back to get weird on you guys. And eventually, as this podcast goes on, I'll get weirder and weirder on your asses. But, I'm kind of getting into numerology. And I've got this book by Dan Millman. He's the guy who wrote The Way of the Peaceful Warrior many years ago. It's a very popular book. And he's got another book called The Life You Were Born to Live. And it's based on numerology, and you figure out your birth numbers and blah, 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 and your life destiny. And it kind of lays out, I'm a 34/7. I mean, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but it's like really about how you're basically blending creativity, spirituality, and practicality. And so when you kind of like look and basically it's mathematics showing that everyone kind of has a specific life course they're on right now. It's really what numerology is. It's mathematics helping you figure out the universe. You see.
Do you find it accurate?
I do, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. I look at it and I'm like, yes, this really feels right. And so it's like when you look at, you're here to blend, matters of spirituality and practicality and kind of create what you're here to create, then it's like I'm free to not have to be Donald Trump. I'm free to not have to do what everyone else is doing. I don't have to be a multi-billionaire. I don't have to be a mogul, because like so many guys, they want to just make a bunch of money and they want to, and I love to have some cool stuff, but I just making more and more money, I wish it turned me on because then it would get me out of some trouble. But it's when part of knowing yourself is knowing kind of how you came into this world and how you're wired. And
learning to use your dispositions for your advantage,
yes. And then ultimately when you bring a woman in, you kind of figure out where she's at too, and you can kind of like in Indian culture, they use Vedic numerology. They'll run their numbers before they'll get married. That's actually smart.
Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a lot of times you're set up for failure before you even start. Yeah, a lot of times, it's like you're set up for failure before you even start, and you need to really understand that not everyone, you're not supposed to be with everyone, and some people it's just never going to work, no matter how lusty you may get for them in the beginning.
Well, yeah, it goes deeper than that too, because I mean, okay, fine, you want to do it with women and stuff like that, but you can just do it in life choices. Like, I know some people that love art.
Okay.
They want to be artists.
Okay.
And you look at their work and, no, don't be an artist. But they just keep, people need to learn to not pursue so much what they love and pursue what they excel at.
Well, yeah, and sometimes, and when you can really understand what you excel at, you'll start to
learn to love it if you're gifted
you'll learn
at
to
it.
love that.
But people, they get things set in their head and...
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, we've got this situation in America where we've got more people unhappy than happy. And what I would like to do in some small way is start to help to remedy that. I got a couple interesting articles that I'm going to read that are going to kind of, give you, I picked these to give us a sense of where we're at today. And this first article is the plight that women are going through. It's called The Elusive American Husband. And it was originally published at the Washington Examiner. And I'm going to read this for you real quick, and then we're going to comment on it. Millions of single women in America today cannot for the life of them find a suitable husband. That's according to a new study from researchers at Cornell University who examined data on actual recent marriages and found women's ideal husband had an average income about 58% higher than the actual unmarried men currently available to single women. These optimal husbands were also 30% more likely to be employed than real single men and 19% more likely to have a college degree. In other words, American men are no longer educated enough or rich enough to be suitable for marriage. This is exactly what we should have expected to happen. For the past 40 years, women have been demanding their relationships with men be free of traditional sex roles. Women say they can do everything themselves and don't need a man. They wanted to lead and to be their own heroes. In exchange, they wanted men to be more like women, soft and nurturing and flexible. I raised my hand. I was guilty of that for a while. Men listened and responded accordingly. They took a step back to accommodate women's demands, and as a result are no longer providers and protectors. They did exactly what women asked of them. If traditional sex roles were truly passé, as the culture has insisted for years, women would have no problem finding a husband. If it didn't matter which sex is richer or more educated, women would be perfectly happy in the provider role and would marry any one of the countless men of lesser status who are clearly and readily available. But they aren't doing that, and many of the women who are doing it are miserable. Every week I hear from breadwinning wives and mothers who are exhausted, stressed out, and resentful about having to earn an income while at the same time be a mother. I also hear from strong, successful single women who, for the life of them, can't find a husband. It would appear we changed the rules, and the new rules don't work. That's because we ignored the reality of male and female nature. Men are literally made to provide, and women are made to nurture. Both are in our DNA and become glaringly obvious once it's time to settle down with a family. Trying to yank these characteristics out of us is an exercise in futility. To wit, according to a 2018 Global Family and Gender Survey, 3 in 10 married mothers prefer full-time work. 3 in 10. Most women, in other words, don't want to be their family's provider. Indeed, between 1970 and today, despite how the media makes it appear, wives' earnings have only increased by roughly 10%, which means I'm afraid that American women are overeducating and overworking themselves prior to marriage for a life the majority of them don't ultimately want. So what's the answer? Stop encouraging women to value education and career above all else as though their identity can be found in the marketplace. A man's identity is typically wrapped up in his job for good reason. That is his main contribution to family life. Not the only one, but to him it's the most important. A woman's identity is typically wrapped up in her relationships at home. That is what pulls at her. It's what matters most and why she ultimately does want and need to depend on a man. Why then do we not prepare women for this inevitability? What do you think?
It sounds like this experiment in gender homogenization has failed.
Yes, I would say that it's failing women and making them miserable. Something that this article didn't cover. I know that depression and suicide rates are way up in women. They're through the roof in men, but nobody seems to care about that.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, you take a man and you convince him to give up everything that makes him a man.
Yeah.
Meaning his ability to take care of his family, provide for his family.
Which is his primary identity. Yeah.
Feel important about it. Yeah, no, you don't need to do that. And then you dump that guy for doing exactly what you asked.
Yeah.
That's going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's no good way around that. Shame on people for going along with that. And, as a people, we need to be smart enough to realize what sounds great on paper just doesn't work. We're human. Like, you can't do that.
It doesn't work, and you have to understand the nature of masculine and feminine. Like what the article said, women are nurturers. It's what they are. It's in their DNA. I mean, they live to nurture children, to take care of their husband, to take care of their children. That's really what calls to them in their deepest loins. Not being the CEO of a startup company.
Well, and then you got to look at it too. Okay, fine. The CEO,
Chief Executive Officer.
I'd love to be a CEO too, but it's like these people in power aren't going to give it up for anybody. They don't care what's said. I mean, so you can't hold it against. You can't put it as a sex or gender thing that maybe women aren't getting rooms in the boardroom, because I'm not getting roles in the boardroom either. I mean, the people that are in these positions want to keep these positions from anybody.
Well, let me tell you something though. There's plenty of women who've proven that they can get these high-powered positions. A lot of so it's not like girl can't do it. Girl can definitely do it.
They definitely can.
The question is, does girl want to do it, and is it going to make girl happy? And that's the I'm not about saying a woman should or shouldn't do anything. I want her to be happy. I want her to fill her greatest life's purpose, and I want her to see what that is. I'm going to talk a lot about.
And men can nurture.
Yes,
men can nurture. I mean, I think in some ways I'm a bit of a nurturer.
Sure, me too.
Like, and you know what? It's funny because I want to come off honest here. Mm-hmm. I'm a wimpy man, but I'm not. I'm very set, traditional in my views, but I'm not a hard ass about it.
Let me tell you something. A woman can get pretty tough and get into masculine energy when she's got to whip the kids into shape. If she's got to whip a shitty husband into shape, women do that. And men can be nurturing. But you're in your best destiny. You're in your best place when a woman is nurturing her kids, when she's taking care of her family. A man is at his best when he's like taking care of his family, when he's providing and he's feeling important, and he feels important and needed, and he's the provider and protector for his family. That's when a man is like shining. That's when all of his circuits are working.
And we shouldn't be trying to remove that from society. We should be encouraging it.
Absolutely.
Like, that's what bothers me is we're trying men don't have to do that anymore. Men, it's like they're trying to pull the testosterone out of kids.
They're pulling the testosterone out of kids. Now they're trying to confuse gender.
Yep. They're that is a fucked up thing in it. So I can't even believe it.
That's just jacked.
I'll go along with it. If you were a little boy and you want to be a girl, fine. If you're a little girl, you want to be a boy, fine. Maybe even hermaphrodite.
Most little boys don't want to be little girls. I mean, there have been throughout history cases of some gender confusion, but we're now creating gender confusion.
Well, there's this disgusting site, and I don't want to comment too early because I'm not as bad as I sound about this, but it's a trans site for children. They have things called Tuckies.
Oh.
And it was like, this is vile. Mm-hmm. Like, no child should even think anything about this right now. Like, this is poisoning kids. I mean, no kid gives a shit about that.
Right.
Like, why would you ever do this?
Protect thy children.
Protect thy children.
If you are listening to this and you're hearing this, yes, keep children away from that stuff. And it's like, and parents got to be
come to that on your own.
Involved in and you really do need to be involved in what your kids are exposed to.
Yeah, and they need to be protected from that.
I mean, I don't have children, but I think if I did, I don't think I did get a phone until they were like 12 or 13. Honestly, I just to keep them protected from influences I don't know. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because it's like something I have found. All of the success. Training and everything I've done throughout my life is like it really is, even for adults. It's not just for kids. It's so important what you put in your brain. The things you watch on TV, the music you listen to, the things you read. All of it is like getting in your brain and kind of programming you. It's funny. I was working out at the gym the other day, and I had my ABBA playlist going. I listened to like wimpy 70s music and disco and stuff, and I'm like.
I take baths.
Yeah, you take baths.
Bubble baths every day.
So I'm listening to my ABBA playlist, and I'm like, every one of these damn songs is a breakup song. Think about that. It's like they're singing about oh, and poor me, and what the times were better back. I'm like, oh my God, I've been listening to this stuff all my life, and they're all sad breakup songs. Even stuff like that. The violence you watch on TV and all. I mean, look, I like. There are things I'm gonna watch because I love them. I'm gonna watch Lord of the Rings. I'm gonna watch Star Wars. I'm gonna watch shit that's violent. But, at least I know what I'm getting when I'm doing it. It's not, like, unconscious. And so with kids, you got to really be careful what you're exposing them to. The ideas you're exposing them to, and...
especially with the cool factor that's put on stuff today that just isn't cool.
Yeah.
Like we live in this world today that preaches you can do whatever you want because you can, but it doesn't say should you.
Right.
Like there's none of that. There's no morality. It seems like morality is just disappearing. It's like, okay, well, you can do this, but it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. Well, you should do it because you can. And I just repeated myself. But...
No, that's okay. No, that's okay. I'm gonna start where we're at, but I'm gonna go back in time a little bit. Okay, right now, we're a little bit concerned because we're confusing kids about gender roles, which is horrifying. But even if you go back to when we were kids, that was when, girls were equal or even more equal than boys. And, even more equal. And it's like, and honestly, it was easy to get laid when we were kids. Yep. Because nobody was like holding out for marriage. You didn't have to do that. Let's be honest. And it was a pretty fun, freewheeling childhood. And now, you got guys like you and me who have either married or divorced, or now single. Less than half of, people our generation are married. It's kind of a scary result, 20 some years later. It's funny because another co-host I'm going to bring on here, Don, he's an old fraternity brother of mine. He and I have known each other 28 years. Do you realize that?
Wow.
That's as long as that's
a long time.
That's as long as my last girlfriend was alive.
Wow.
Think about that.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, and so it's like, and so back then it was a different world. Mm-hmm. We were having a great time. It was like the movie Old School, and now it's like we're seeing, we need things like the alpha shift because families aren't working. Where are we going to be in another 20 years when no one even knows if they're a man or a woman?
You know what? That's a good question. And you sort of need men and women to promote family.
Yeah.
Because when you don't have your family, you don't have much.
Right.
Like people aren't designed to just go through life on their own. Like men, women, both do better with family. Like
I have a theory though.
Gabe wouldn't have done good. Our grandfather, one of the strongest people I've known.
He was one of my role models all my life.
He wouldn't have done shit without his wife.
No.
But the only reason he had his wife was because he
exalted her. And let me tell you something. They were the greatest generation. They were the World War II generation. Yep. And, this, women being repressed is bullshit. Because that woman ran that family.
Yeah, no shit.
She was
shit.
He would if there was a disagreement, she pretty much got her way.
Yeah, he did what he was told.
And
by
this man was very successful in the world, made a lot of money, but when what Mary said went, and he ruled where he needed to rule, and she knew she was safe with that. But when it was a family affair, something had to do with the family, and she had a strong opinion, she was honored. Yep. And so, women have, when you have a man who's successful in his life purpose and a wife who supports him, she's very powerful. She has a great deal of influence over him. It's something we're going to talk about a lot in this podcast is the power of femininity, because that's something that a lot of these
that's a bullshit cause today.
Well, no, I think femininity. Well, let me explain. Because a lot of women today have lost touch with their femininity. A lot of women today are very actually acting masculine, and so when a woman gets into feminine energy, which is open, which is inviting, which is very soothing to the masculine, it's like a superpower. I have a friend who's a dating coach, and he wrote a great article. I put it up on my blog. I actually reposted his thing with his permission, and. About how femininity is women's superpower, and when a woman's really feminine, and because it's open and inviting to a man, and she's like treating him right and encouraging him, and you can get anything. It was
designed like that. That's how it's supposed to be.
I mean, when a woman's like that with you, because she could probably get you to fucking do anything. Yeah. It's like it is. It's a superpower, and they've all abdicated it. They don't even know that they have this. They don't even know they have access to this.
Why? Why do they want to be like us? You can have things that we have and not have to be us to do it.
Well, you know what? In their defense, they've been conditioned to want to be like men or be better than men. It's they're not their fault. It's how they've been exposed and raised.
Well, men are pulling the same shit though. They want to be like women.
I know.
But
I know. It's again the same thing. It's programming.
Like
you know, it's very scary shit. You got to be careful how you raise multiple generations.
Like when I see some man worrying about how cute he looks in his jeans, like it makes me want to punch them. And I'm sorry. I just like. I understand metrosexuals and all that.
Yeah.
I'm not one.
No,
but there's
neither.
nothing wrong with dudes wanting to look good. But like, oh my God, these hipsters, pussies.
Yeah.
Like, it drives me nuts, and it shouldn't.
No skinny jeans for men.
Yeah, man.
And if we're talking about pet peeves, you know what else I can't stand is the short cropped hair with the big long beard.
Yeah, I think it looks really dumb.
You know, I'm really
dumb.
Yeah, I'm really not into it. And you know, in the flannel shirt and obviously
the tight flannel shirt.
And he's not real fit. You know, he's just trying to look tough.
I just can't wait till that shit goes out of style. I hate in style fat mod. Ugh.
Can we bring back long feathered hair, sideburns, and handlebar mustaches like the disco era?
I'm like halfway there, man.
Yeah,
I got the 70s dude kicking right now.
You know, I grow my hair long. It just doesn't look right. It's like too thin.
Mine doesn't look right because I got a bald spot kicking, but I'm getting to the point where I don't care.
Okay. Yeah. I know. I try to take good care of it as I can. You know, I like exfoliate the scalp and everything, but we'll see.
Nice.
You know, what the hell? You know, take care. You know, work out. Take care of yourself as much as you can.
I try to do the exact opposite.
This is what happens when you're single for like ever. You got to take care of yourself. You know, you don't have some wife who's going to take care of you when you're old.
I'm trying to do the exact opposite of whatever the fashion is right now because I'm just repulsed by like what men do today. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'd rather just be by myself.
Right.
With my dog and my comic books.
Yeah. You know, honestly, it's like life is pretty damn good. I
agree. I agree.
I mean, what I really like to get into a relationship that's loving and mutually beneficial? Yes. Will I if the time is right? Yes. Will I not if it doesn't work out? Then no. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, you know what? When I find the right woman, hell yeah, I'll do anything she tells me to do happily. And but you know what? There's not a lot of that going around right now.
And you know what? Don't settle for anything less.
Yeah, don't you guys settle for it either.
Yeah, don't you guys settle for it.
Don't you dare, because
you don't need to. You know, it's like, and you know, the power of the punani is very strong.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of guys will make a lot of compromises for the power of that punani.
Mm.
And you know, God knows I've done it in the past. You know, and so you got to be very. And you know what? I think what eventually cures you of that is like you just go down that road enough times, you get burned enough times. Eventually, you're like, okay, enough.
Okay, you can't do it. Like I remember, this was with Colleen. This is like 10 years ago.
I remember.
I got to a point, I just couldn't do that again.
Yeah.
It was like everything I had to give as far as like compromise I gave her.
Yep.
And I just hurt so bad after it.
I remember.
I just couldn't do it. Like I don't have it in me anymore. I won't conjure this up. And it hurt for a while. But once I got through that, I was never happier. And I've had a bunch of good relationships after it. You know, and but you really need to learn how to where to draw a line in the sand and never cross it.
Yeah.
And I mean that is a hard thing to figure out, especially when you're young. Because when you're young, you have 10 times the amount of emotion running around inside you and hormones and all that. And you feel like every person that you've ever said you loved or every woman you ever said you loved, you think it's going to last forever.
Right.
And it feels like that.
Every single one was going to last forever.
Yeah, everyone. And they don't.
Yeah.
And the quicker you learn that is all natural and it's a thing that you're going through it. And once you get over it and you can look at it objectively, you'll win.
Yeah.
You will win and you will be okay.
Well, you remember this last one, this last relationship I got. Remember she took off out of town. She had her own thing she had to go through. Yeah. And I was feeling all lost. And remember I called you. I said, we need an emergency bar night. I'm having a panic. Yeah, I was like, it was just bad.
Yeah.
And, but it's like you really kind of got to go through your own process. But when I kind of started letting it go and deconstructing what it was, I stopped blaming her.
Yeah.
She stopped being the problem.
Yeah.
And I started, and I actually recognized a lot of the same patterns, that was happening when I was going through my divorce 10 years ago.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I recreated a lot of that shit. Oh, silly me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Shame on you for not seeing this in the sand.
For not seeing it and for like basically not having it taken care of before. And so believe me, you're going to keep bringing it up in new relationships till you deal with it.
Yep.
I have a lot of abandonment issues that are my own issues that have nothing to do with, girlfriends and wives. They just kind of like manifest it for me. And so, I'm handling my own stuff. And it's like, it's very freeing. You're not blaming outside sources. You're not blaming, these nasty women. They're fine. It's like,
it's us.
Yeah, it's us. My
yeah.
problems are my own.
And it's easier to blame us.
Yeah.
Because then you can fix it. Like
exactly. When you take 100% responsibility for your challenges, now you can fix it. When you're blaming someone else, you're powerless. And so that's what I mean by like, what I want to do here with the Alpha Shift is I want to give people that message that, I know she left you. I know she slept with the milkman. I know all these things happen, but it's you, guy. It's you.
Yeah. She did that because you made her do it.
Well, yeah.
And you didn't make her do it, but your deficiency, you weren't what she needed you to be or what you needed yourself to be to keep her.
Absolutely. All of those things. And if nothing else, it always comes down to you chose wrong. Even if you kind of did everything right, what we do is so often, we just we choose the wrong woman. We marry them and get with them for the wrong reasons. She's hot. Oh, that ass. Yeah. She likes my cooking, or she's like, she like compliments me all the time. And we don't look deeper than things that just make our hormones go crazy and we fall in love. And believe me, this is every relationship I've ever started was really because we were on this euphoric high and we were in love. And before you know it, we're in this committed relationship. That is no way to make a life decision.
Yep.
But we all do it. And so, so we've got multiple things going on here. We've got, how we make life decisions, and we've got a fucked up world where men and women are inverted. Which leads me into this, Brian, this one's for you, guy.
Okay.
I'm
excited for this.
Yeah, well, because, and it's special for you because for listeners of the Alpha Shift who don't know Brian, you are one of the co-hosts of Nerd Out, a very popular toy action figure YouTube channel. And so are often dealing with issues of what's going on in the toy business, usually adult collectibles and that sort of thing. Well, one of the biggest toy manufacturers in the world is a company called Hasbro. And they are coming out with a new version. They are the makers of Monopoly, the famous real estate board game that so many of us grew up playing, and it taught us the basics of business, investing, and real estate. This article is called Hasbro Goes Full-On Woke with its new game, Ms. Monopoly. And wait till you guys hear this, because this has got some interesting shit going on. One of America's most recognizable board games, Monopoly, has created a new version celebrating girl power. All well enough and fine. In Ms. Monopoly, female players start with $1,900 compared to $1,500 for each male player. And when girls pass go, they don't get the standard $200. They get $240. So just to get this straight, in Hasbro's lame attempt to empower women, it's selling the idea that women need a leg up in order to compete with men. Ergo, women and girls are not in fact as smart or as capable as men. Okay, got it. Glad we cleared that up. I can't get my head around parents who would actually buy Ms. Monopoly for their kids, but they will no doubt regret it when their sons and daughters start to play the game and fighting erupts. Should a boy deign to play in the first place, he will rightfully point out over and over the unfairness of the game and how it's rigged against him. But then I suspect that's the point. I suspect it's Hasbro's way of teaching boys a lesson, that the game of life has been rigged against women for eons and now it's boys' turn to feel it. Aside from the fact that it's pure propaganda, American women are not oppressed, how on earth is pitting the sexes against one another as children going to solve what Hasbro believes is a real problem? On what planet would that actually turn out well? Or perhaps I have it all wrong. Perhaps the game is designed so that no boy will ever want to play. Maybe the purpose is just to gather a bunch of girls in a room so they can start to think of men as the enemy and figure out how they can protect themselves from the opposite sex and take over the world. The author has some pretty strong opinions about this game, but seriously, I mean, you start women with a higher amount of money than men. How is that going to make sense
That's the trend
to little boys and little girls.
But that's it. That's the trend right now. Is you know, they're. I mean, look at Marvel. I mean, they're taking these tokenized characters, like handout characters, like She-Hulk. Like that's as bad as it gets. And I agree. It's like you're giving women handouts, and like that's really the best you can do. Like if that's your best attempt to equalize the playing field, I mean, that's just a cheat. It's like that. It's literally. It's like I agree with him completely. It's like giving a handout because you're saying that women can't even compete.
Yeah,
I think it's terrible. It's a terrible message.
Yeah, giving them a head start and a leg up, I think, is terribly insulting to them. It would be one thing. It would be one thing, you know, if it was like track or football, or if it was a physical competition where men are literally built bigger and stronger. That is a little different. But when it comes to like brain power, when it comes to intellect, you know, women and men are actually are equal in that regard, absolutely,
sure.
and should not be, you know, this Ms. Monopoly thing. Yeah, it is. It just creates a difference between
anger. It's putting a divide. It's not doing what it's designed to do. It's making men resent women.
Yes,
if anything, and it's designed to do that. I think in some ways,
yeah.
Like I think who's ever coming up with that, they don't give a shit about bettering a woman's position in society. They're just trying to stir shit.
People who make media and who make toys are definitely have a political agenda, and this political agenda is going to be affecting, you know, kids and generations to come, and it's very scary.
Yeah, I mean, like She-Hulk. Look at Captain Marvel, the worst Marvel superhero ever in comic book form. So they decide, well, okay, we're going to bring a woman in. We're going to. I don't know what their agenda is, but so she turns it into this political platform.
Yeah.
And it's like, time out, lady. You got to understand, you didn't earn anything. You were given the shittiest Marvel character there is because somebody decided that they want to have some representation, right, or whatever reason it is. So, but don't blow it into something it's not. And I mean. And it's just the whole. But we can
also juxtapose that against Gal Gadot's wonderful portrayal as Wonder Woman from DC,
which is insane because it was awesome.
Yeah, and Wonder Woman is one of the best, you know, comic book characters ever, and was played beautifully by Gal Gadot, who is just a wonderful human being. Yeah, and I think is that DC's most popular film.
I think so. I think now it might be Aquaman. Right? Okay, but it's up there. It's definitely up there.
It's up there. I mean, I remember when Wonder Woman came out. I mean, everyone was going crazy for it. I loved it. Yeah. I saw it a couple times in the theater. You know, and so you had give
women respect.
Yeah,
let them earn it. Don't give them a handout.
You had a situation where a very beautiful woman was certainly the heroine of the story, and we all loved it. We ate it up. We couldn't get enough of it. So it can be done right.
Well, yeah, but they don't want to do it right. Look at Batwoman. Have you seen the trailers for it? She flat out says,
"Yeah, I did."
Oh, this is like basically she steals Batman's stuff.
Okay.
So she doesn't need it.
Okay.
And it's like, how ridiculous can you? It was like the ultimate shat on Batman, on everything that we've ever loved, on the biggest DC hero that we all grew up with. It's like, you think you're going to shit on him and you think anybody's going to watch you? That's like coming to Detroit and shitting on Ted Nugent. You just don't do it.
yeah, that's not
like you don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, she's insane.
Yeah. So absolutely.
Show some respect.
When you
the simple fact that that you are being included in this is huge. Like look at Marvel Legends. The female characters don't really sell.
Right.
We're trying to make this inclusive for women. Do not get a big head about it.
Right.
Please don't, because all you're gonna do is burn your bridges.
Don't force it.
Don't force it.
You know, it's gotta be natural, and there's plenty of room for women to be badass.
Yeah,
Let me tell you something.
Yeah, I'm about representation. Ripley?
When I was 5 years old, when I was a 5-year-old kid back in the 70s, I had Princess Leia telling Grand Moff Tarkin and Darth Vader to go screw themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And it was like awesome. You know, I didn't think she was my first crush.
Yeah. Giving the orders the whole movie.
Yeah.
She never once wimped out. Ever.
No, and there was no agenda there, and no one thought twice about it. Everyone loved Princess Leia.
Yeah. She was badass.
It's so.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, it's
Make
so
it
important.
natural.
Yes, it's so important, the intention that goes into things. It's like Force Awakens came out and everyone loved it. Yeah, some people accused it of being a remake of A New Hope. We didn't really care.
Which was fine.
Because J.J. Abrams loves Star Wars. Then came The Last Jedi.
Oh, God.
Which technically it's here, it's there, it's whatever. You can argue its merits as a film, but man, did everybody hate it. It's because Rian Johnson just doesn't like us and doesn't like Star Wars.
No, he doesn't like...
He just doesn't. You can just tell. He just wants to tell us all to go do it ourselves. And so it's like, the intention that goes into a thing is so important. That's why sometimes, with these sexual political agendas, like Ms. Monopoly, or with some of this woke superhero stuff we see going on in the media, and with some of these ill-intended things to empower women at the expense of men. It's not that empowering women is bad. It's that there's like this intention.
Oh yeah, and it's designed
it's
that
this
if you
underlying
oppose
intention.
It, you're an anti-woman, piece of shit, that you hate women.
Yes.
Let me tell you right now, I love women.
Yeah,
Our mother owned a business her whole life.
Yes. Before it was in vogue to do it.
Yeah, at work, all my bosses are women, and not one of them would ever accuse me of being sexist or anything like that. So,
I know, of course.
So get that shit out of your head.
Yeah.
But it's like this whole agenda in Hollywood is designed to be retarded, for lack of better words. It's designed that you can't follow these rules, so they can call you out on anything that they feel like. It's just a fucking game that means nothing.
I have a lot of friends who believe in conspiracy theories about, like the elites. It's really trying to control society, and I gotta admit, a lot of this stuff makes me think, they might be onto something. Oh God.
I think so too.
Yeah,
they're trying to tear apart a society and make us go against everything that we're born to do.
The way that you tear apart a strong society, and the United States is the strongest society the world's ever seen, is to dismantle the family, because then you can make the state the family.
Sure.
And so I think that's kind of what we're starting to see happen. And so, it's and the way that we prevent that is individual awareness, between everybody, just kind of being aware in their own life, being unwilling to accept it. And I think that we're starting to see that. I think people are starting to wake up. It's an interesting time we live in, but I see a lot of things that are very encouraging. I see a lot of people starting to wake up and question things. I see a lot of people, struggling with their own journees, but that's good.
Yeah, you don't need the answers.
It means they're thinking. You don't need the answers right away.
You just not buy into bullshit.
It's just good to start asking the questions.
Agreed.
Absolutely, it's good to start asking the questions. Do we want to get into something weird?
We can.
Okay. All right. I believe that the sanctity and the solidity of the family is the bedrock of any society. And so I've got an article here to really kind of freak you guys out about kind of where some of our younger generations are going. So let me read this to you. Brian, you can chime in here if you've got any interesting exclamations of, oh my God, that's crazy.
Okay.
Man happily includes wife's lover in their wedding photos. Cheating on me is part of her identity.
Oh my God.
This is from Pluralist.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we all took turns being in the middle of the bed, the best spot in a polyamory relationship. After accepting his girlfriend's claim to identify as polyamorous, an Ohio man allowed her... Hold on a second. Sorry, my thing printed funny. The woman, Carolyn Henry, 22, recounted the story. She said that before she married Justin last year, she revealed to him that she had secretly struggled for years with being polyamorous. To her surprise, she said he immediately accepted her orientation, it's in quotes, as the Star put it. I brought my worries up with my now husband, and he nonchalantly said, well, you can just date a girl on the side. I don't know. I guess if you had a girl who wanted to...
Wait a minute. Time out. So he doesn't get in the middle of it.
Wait a minute.
His wife just bangs a chick when she's bored of him?
Well, wait a minute. It gets crazier. I read this before I brought it in. Well, you can just date a girl on the side, Henry said. My mind was blown. I didn't even think that was a possibility, to be honest. We gave it a go, though, and it just worked so perfectly that it stuck to us. She added, I don't know if I could go back to being monogamous. Polyamorous just works so well for us. Henry went on to start an online relationship with a woman named Lana on the feminist-friendly Tumblr website, which she defended as very serious in a 2018 Facebook post. After a year and a half, Henry invited Lana, who lives in Northern Ireland, to be a bridesmaid at her wedding. Justin was apparently cool with it, as photos from the event attest. I remember all of us a little drunk, arms locked, and just going in circles, laughing and singing, Henry told the Star. I cherished every moment of that day, and while I'm sad it's over, I will never forget it.
What is this pussy's problem?
Oh, my God.
Like, what the hell?
It started out as a poly-V triad, which means that Lana and I were dating, but not Justin and her. This is very confusing. When Lana flew over for our wedding, though, they both developed crushes on each other and started dating as well. That turned into a regular poly triad. Okay, you know what?
That's all bullshit. Like, I'm sorry. Why would you marry anybody if you're not enough for them?
Well, and you know, it's
like that's pathetic.
That's what I mean about like the
there's no
defining relationships today. You know, it's you know, now you've got these kids, and you know, we've got a family friend, and her 20-something son is polyamorous.
When you say polyamorous, is that bisexual?
No, polyamorous
what is
means polyamorous means you have a primary relationship. You're in a long-term relationship, or you're married, and one or both of you are dating or seeing other people, and it's open.
Okay,
and
which is okay, but not for a marriage. That takes the whole point out of it.
Well, a lot of people are married. That pretty much it's usually married people who date on the side. And openly date on the side. It's like an open
ball up and get divorced.
It's an open marriage, and I'm really thinking, you know, that what that really does. And you know, if you go on some of these message boards, you know, and believe me, I spend a lot of time when I do research for the Alpha Shift, and for my customer, you know, I go on Reddit, and you know, when you in polyamory, you know, there are a few loud voices that like to talk about how wonderful it is, but when you really look at these people who try to live this way, it ends up tearing their lives apart. And you know, what you would expect: jealousy, toxicity in the relationship. You know, and I think it really comes down to immaturity and delusional immaturity.
Yeah, they're not happy.
Well, and not wanting to grow up and commit to a certain course of action. You know, it's this wanting to forever be a child. You know, I think polyamory is just, I hate to say this, it's like guys who grow up and collect action figures and play with train sets, and they're kind of forever living their childhood. And in some ways, it's okay. You know, if you want to like if you want to work on cars in your garage, if you want to keep your action figures in the box, like on the wall in your basement, some of those things are fine. But you can't, you know, date like you're a freshman in college all your life. You know what I mean? And so at some point...
Not if you're married.
Not if you're married. Not if you're in your 30s and married, like a lot of these people.
I mean, you can do those things, but don't marry.
Yeah, like, and so what they're saying is, you know, I really identify as this, and I really just don't think I can be with one person. Well, then there's a whole lot of things you can't do. You can't really raise children. You can't, you know, pair bond properly. There's a lot of things you can't do.
How do you explain that to your kid?
Right.
That's the good thing to do. Yeah, you have kids with this one, but fuck around. But you don't necessarily want to fuck her all. I mean, that's just that's not commitment. That's just.
And I'm not trying to moralize and tell people what they should and shouldn't do, but it's like about, you know, do you want to be happy? You need to do the things, to do the right things, to find your way to a happy, fulfilling life for yourself and your family. And some things will lead you there, some things will definitely not. And so that, I think, is the mission that we're on here, you know, and that we're starting tonight, and that we will be doing for hopefully many, many, many episodes to come. It's the discussion that we're starting. You know, what I realized is that you know, with the email newsletters and with the short YouTube videos I've done, that more long-form conversation is really needed.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
Where we can really engage, and I think that as our viewership goes up, we can go live on Facebook and get guys on the page asking questions.
Well, not only that, but having you and I discuss it, it promotes more commenting.
Yes,
and people to start their own conversations about it and stuff like that.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
Because what I noticed, I like your videos a lot.
Oh, thank you.
But they're very informative. But it's like there's not a lot to comment on. Because they're just strictly, like, not like you and I really disagree, but, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we're gonna have a conversation. We're going to have a lot more going on.
Yep.
So with that, I think that I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this first inaugural episode of the Alpha Shift. Brian, thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you for
tonight.
having me.
Absolutely.
Sorry I sucked tonight.
Nope,
I feel
that's okay. It is what it is, and every episode is perfectly what it should be.
Yep.
So thank you, and you guys, I will see you again next week. This is David Krueger of the Alpha Shift signing off.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. Bye.